Over 130 years after the events of A New Hope during the time of Kate Skywalker, which I made a video about, some of the galaxy was once again under Imperial rule. But not the Emperor Palpatine, do what we say or die kind of empire. This Emperor, Rowan Fel, who I'd like to make a separate video about, believed in peacefully spreading influence by providing aid to the people and planets that were ruined by the Yuzhang Vong War, and also had his own order, who were kinda like no-nonsense space musketeers called the Imperial Knights. The Imperial Knights were an order of Force users, like the Jedi, but instead of their mantra being something along the lines of "there is only the Force," for them it was all about the Emperor. But unlike what you would expect from an Imperial group, they rejected the dark side, but they also didn't strictly follow the light. They saw the Force as merely a tool, nothing more, nothing less. They weren't bound to it like the Jedi. For the Imperial Knights, whatever the Emperor says goes. Some notable members during this time were its leader, Antares Draco, Marasiah Fel, who was the daughter of the Emperor Rowan Fel. It's kind of like an even more badass princess, Leia, going planet to planet as an emissary. Ogrum Chalk was the Master Armorer, and last but certainly not least, Emperor Rowan Fel himself was a fully trained Imperial Knight. All Imperial Knights had the same standard issue white crystal lightsabers, reinforcing the fact that lightsabers, like the Force, are just a tool. Their crimson armor shared some of the same materials in Darth Vader's suit, and they all had gauntlets made of pure cortosis, which we saw recently in the Acolyte with Khmer. Cortosis, as we know from the Acolyte, makes lightsabers malfunction, which is pretty useful when you're fighting both the Jedi and the Sith. They all had the same Force powers you would expect from a Jedi: Force push, pull, mind tricks, etc. They trained in the same lightsaber techniques as the Jedi, and were even talented at flying like most of the Jedi. A small difference was that the Imperial Knights were not above using abilities that Jedi would consider dark, such as Force Lightning and Force Choke. But for me, the coolest thing about the Imperial Knights is that if the Emperor falls to the dark side, it is their duty to remove him from power. Like I said in the end of my last video, for me, this John Ostrander timeline manages to capture the original trilogy's feeling, and it's why it's one of my favourite stories.